One of the more interesting things that happens when you're doing research on a regular basis. I don't know how many of you are actually researchers that listen to this, but I know that there is a significant portion of people that do it. But, one of the things that ends up happening is you completely lose track of time and date. And you're on a completely different time scale than what most people actually are on in terms of the rest of the world. Most people have the sort of structure that they go by, but if you are doing research, you don't really have a structure. You really just kind of do things whenever, and the time at which it takes to complete different things in the research game is a very long time. So you tend to lose all perception of A, what's going on in the week, and then B, what's going on over the long term. And I still distinctively remember this when I first went into the research game and I first started doing that shortly after my undergraduate program. It was really tricky to deal with, and it, initially it's very hard to make sense of it because you don't really have a 9 to 5, or that, that there's always things that are going on. But over time you do practice this and you get better at the research game in terms of dealing with the time and time management with it, not in the sense of not in the sense of sort of coming to terms with it, but really what I end up doing is I just live a normal life like everybody else, and the rest of the research world kind of goes. I go with it, right? I sort of find the time to do research in my job, and then the rest of the time is my life, and I sort of segment my life as if I'm normal, quote unquote normal, um, and it makes life a lot easier, particularly because my spouse is not in the research game at all. And we have a family, so my kids are not in it at all. So I have a certain set time of what the rest of the world is doing, and I have to do my work within that set time. So basically, 9 to 5. That is the hours that I have to sort of set within, because that's the time that my life is not chaotic. And there's times where I have to run and do things throughout the day, and that's part of it as well. Um, I know that seems like, to people, a lot of, particularly the junior folks in the research game, that seems like crazy that I have a 9 to 5 and all of that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I work all hours of the night and all that sort of jazz. But I learned a long time ago that A, it's not healthy, and B, it really doesn't help you out in the long run, because you have to work within the constraints of the rest of the world does. Why is it not healthy? It's a lot like shift work, right? So shift work is notoriously bad for your health because you have no set schedule. You don't really get in a circadian rhythm in any sort of way. So, shift workers, shift workers, the ones that work, and my dad did that for many, many years, work for, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and sort of shift between day and night because they're working in a plant. And my dad did that for a very long time. I still remember that, and still remember being quiet throughout the day as my dad was working shift work, but it is really hard on your health. It's really hard on your health. And it's the same thing as if you're thinking of doing this. The more that you can get into a schedule that is natural, right? Getting up in the morning, going to bed at night, and sort of setting a schedule, the better off that you're going to be and feel throughout the day. You're going to have more energy. It's going to feel a lot just general better, and you're going to have long run health effects from that, right? Like health benefits from that. So the more that you can get into that, it's a lot more fun. As well, it is, it really just helps you to define where your boundaries are. If there's any recommendation that I can give to you is to define those boundaries, and live your life, right? Like, don't live the life around, don't let research and don't let your work dictate what you are doing. You dictate the work that you're actually doing. It's a different way to view it, and you sort of see the world completely differently, where you are viewing the world as if you have control over it. And that's an important thing to remember. You have absolute control over this, and you can dictate what you do and what you don't do, and the hours that you actually work and don't work. So the more that you have it defined, the better off, in my view, that you're going to be. And you're not going to have a lot of this sort of aimlessness that you're going to feel when you have no boundaries or anything like that. In fact, going so far as to dress up and to go into work and do the sort of pattern that you would do normally in a 9 to 5, I find that very satisfying to do that, and it helps me out get through the day. So I'd encourage you to set boundaries, and healthy boundaries from work and home, and continue to stick with those particular boundaries. So that's all I wanted to say. I think it's an important lesson to take forward is live the life that you would like to live, and not let life make you live the way that you're currently living. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.